Bring your A game.
I go by the name of Dynamic, aka your favorite light skin, and we always like to have a special guest in the studio, chop it up with somebody, and find out what they're doing in the scene. This next individual, he's not like a lot of our other guests, because usually a lot of our other guests could rap or could sing, or I don't know if he could rap or sing. I'm gonna find out in a minute. Sometimes people got hidden talents, but this guy is putting on for the city as a very, very popular, I would call it a blog, a magazine, website online, and also an agency, a whole lot of stuff that he's doing with the city right now, and the country, and the world. We got Kevin Bourne in the studio representing Shifter agency and magazine, right?
Yes, sir.
Yo, so how did it all start for you, man?
It started coming from Toronto. Growing up in the big city, you see certain things. You see like a certain media presence, over there. And when it came to Ottawa, I didn't see a lot of the things that I saw over in Toronto. So for me, I was like, there's an opportunity here. Like some people, when the city's lacking certain things, they're like, oh, I need to leave. Whereas for me,
right.
if you have your business hat on, you're thinking, shoot, like there's an opportunity here, right, to create and to do something. So that's kind of like, I was inspired by what Ottawa lacked instead of being threatened by it. So
I was gonna say, I feel like the city has always been lacking the infrastructure.
Yeah, and for me, I enjoy, like I've always enjoyed kind of the infrastructure side of things. So for me, like I always wanted to just be a part of that. So as soon as I came here, I was like, man, like where's the media at? So immediately I started to I never picked up a camera until I came to Ottawa.
Right.
I never did anything creative until I came here. But when I came here, I was like, shoot, there's an opportunity. I was like, I bought a camera, I learned how to use it, went to Rogers TV, learned how to do some camera work, all because I was like, I saw a need. Yeah. Right. And then we just decided one day.
Were you doing the one on Richmond Road?
Yeah.
I used to do that too. Yeah.
So and I used to walk. I had no bus fare to even get there, so I would walk to there just to learn, And so one day me and my business partner, we were just like, yo, let's start something, and we wanted to be able to just create a platform for talent, and that's what we did. So
you're initially born in Toronto?
Born 29 years.
Kevin Bourne in Toronto?
Yes, 29 years in between North York and Mississauga. So
what was the reason for the move to Ottawa?
I studied political science in school. I was a policy guy, and I speak quite a bit of French. So
made sense.
Toronto actually started feeling small for me, which is kind of weird. I tell people like Toronto started feeling small because
that's supposed to be the biggest city.
Yeah, but as being into politics and stuff, I was like, there was nothing for me there. Right. So Ottawa became the dream. I was like, man, I want to work on the hill. I want to that was it. Just to be on the hill. So
I'm going to Toronto in a couple of days. When's the last time you've been back to Toronto?
Christmas. I do every Christmas in Toronto.
Family still there?
Yeah. So everybody's in Toronto. So I think I've only done one Christmas in my whole life not in Toronto.
Toronto's a dope city, man. Just the vibes and the energy. Like I moved out there about 10 years ago, and then just came back recently for family and stuff. But I love Toronto, man. Toronto's a place to be too. Let's get into you picked some artists that we could play here and represent on the show. Where do you want to start with, man?
We can start with some Spank Squire.
Some Spank Squire, let's do it, man. And the track that you wanted to play
is Wake Up.
How do you know this artist?
He performed at House of Paint. That's the first time I saw him. I was like, he performed at House of Paint, and I was like, man, this guy's good. So I went home and I listened to his album, and I just kept listening to his album, and he has that superstar vibe, and he sounds super polished. So
let's do it, man. We got some Spank Squire, man. The track is called Wake Up. You're listening to Bring Your A-Game Radio, CHUO 89.1 FM. Every single Friday night, 10 p.m. until midnight, CHUO 89.1 FM. And Kevin Bourne just put me on to, what was it, Spank Squire?
Spank Squire, man.
I like it, man. Some dope stuff.
Crazy.
So we're gonna get into two more artists before you're out of here. One of them I do know. I feel like maybe we should probably talk about this artist now. You know what I mean? Let me turn down this. We got a couple things. I feel like we should probably talk about this artist now because he's been working a lot in the city. You've been working with him lately.
Yes, sir.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
The people out there might know who we talking about right now, but we are talking about the one and only Heavy.
Yeah.
And how did you guys, kind of come together with your new partnership? And what is it that's happening there?
Well, we originally met in 2018, so we just stopped by the studio to talk with him and Quest just to do an on-camera interview.
Right.
And the whole first time I was in the studio, I was like, man, I don't want to leave. Like, it felt like we had built just a friendship right away.
Right.
And I just kept seeing them around the city, and eventually, at Shifter, we decided, we had the agency already, just doing some work for clients, but we decided, we want to get into the whole talent side of things. And so we met, and we were actually supposed to talk about something else, and then he just like, so do you represent talent? And I was like, actually, we just literally talked a few days ago that we want to kind of get into that, and so it kind of just over the course of, we were at that Dunn's in the market, in the Byward Market, and just right there on the spot, we're like, let's do something. We're like, and it was like,
did you sign it on a napkin right there? Like,
no. But we were just talking about ideas like that, things that he can do for 2018, and it was like, all of us by the end of the conversation, we're all looking around like, yo, like this is big, like this could be big. Yeah. And so right there on the spot, we're like, let's do something. And so then I think a few weeks later, we drew something up, and then that was it.
Made it official.
Yeah.
So what is it about Heavy that makes you say, okay, I want to work with this artist? Aside from like anybody else.
Yeah, like he has kind of like in a sense, he has the obviously the look, the talent, and the hustle, and kind of if you can have like all three of those in one artist, like for me, like that's the one I want to work with. Right. Especially the hustle. Hustle is huge. Like if I see someone who has that drive and the hustle, even if they don't have the greatest talent or whatever, if someone has hustle, like that means a lot. Like I've worked with artists who had everything except for hustle, right, and I saw how hard it was.
So what came first? Was it the agency or the magazine?
Magazine was has been around for years. Like we're about to celebrate like 5 years in March. So we've been, so we've been around for a while. So we through the magazine we're always telling people stories, and eventually we're like, well, the same skills we're using to tell people stories on the content side, we could be using to like represent people on the to tell people stories on the agency side. So it's the exact same skill set.
Because you built like a core network with the magazine.
Yeah, we built a network. We have all like we were doing all this media. We were on CBC Radio all the time, CTV Morning Live. So we're like, man, we already have all these PR connections. We already have all these like video photo capabilities. Like we already had the whole infrastructure to. And basically in a sense, like I was already in a sense managing the people on my team, because I had them all over the media and stuff doing different things. So I was like, if I could do this for my guys, why can't I do this for other people? So
who are there any other artists that you see, and does it have to be just an artist from the Ottawa area? Are there any other artists that you see that you would want to work with?
Yeah, we've met with a few lately that we might have some announcements soon.
Big.
But yeah, we definitely, we want to do it. We definitely want to do it big. Like again, like we want to be able to create that infrastructure in the city that may not necessarily be here. So there definitely are. Like I think in Ottawa, the artists I'm seeing now are like hungry. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, like you didn't see a lot of those hungry artists. Like whereas now you're seeing like people like SVLM and Be Like Brett. There's a whole crop of artists in the city.
And I think others inspire others. By doing what
exactly. Which is why for me, even like we did the whole public signing as well, because we want to show people like this is like
there's something here.
Yeah, like we need things to be official in Ottawa. We need to like value our artists in Ottawa. Like I don't want to just shake a man's hand and say, hey, you're with me. I'm like, no, like I want you to know that I value you and I see you as a star.
So what does shifter mean? What are you doing when you're shifting?
Yeah. So
is that a term you use?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's like we are the people that shift culture. We want to work with people that are shifting culture, that are creating culture. Right. Like we're the culture. Like shifters are cultural influencers, people that create, people that we have a whole thing on like what a shifter is, but there's a whole mindset that we have in the sense of like creating opportunities for yourself, being a person of influence. And for me, it's like even when I talk to an artist, I'm like, I want to talk to people that want to have influence. Right. If you want to just make music in your parents' basement forever, or just kind of like, then I can't work with you. But if you're someone that wants to be heard and you want to have impact, then that's somebody that I want to work with. So yeah, the whole shifter thing is like we're people that are we want to influence culture, we want to shape culture and shift culture. So
and you feel like since you've come here with the magazine and the agency and everything that's happening.
Yeah, I feel like definitely like we're pretty regular on CBC Radio. Like the fact that CBC Radio has covered hip hop the way that they've covered hip hop, like they had MC Ren's son on CBC Radio, which I think a few years ago may not have happened. So I definitely feel like from being here, and people have said that to me. People have said, oh yeah, you guys are helping to shift the culture in the city. Right. And for me, like that's something that I take to heart and I'm happy about. The fact that we can kind of help create a bit of a more dynamic culture in the city. So
pun intended.
Yeah, dynamic culture in the city. But yeah.
So if I'm an artist out there and I want to get with Shifter Agency or even get on the magazine, what do I got to do?
You can hit me up at info@shifteragency.com or info@shiftermagazine.com. And just
send over the details.
Yeah, send over the details. For me, it's not about just streaming numbers. Some people are like, I have these on the streaming numbers. It's like that's okay, but you have the other intangibles.
Plus, you could pay for all that stuff. Now.
Exactly. No, true. That's it. Like, you can pay for that stuff. So now I'm like, can you make good music?
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. So,
and are people actually supporting?
Yeah.
Let's get into this artist, Heavy, that we're talking about, man. We got a track here called Savage, featuring London Zig. Savage Part 2, man. Bring your A-Game Radio, CHUO 89.1 FM. Still got Kevin Bourne in the building. Let's go. Every single Friday night, CHUO 89.1 FM. You locked in to Bring Your A-Game Radio. I go by the name of Dynamic, a.k.a. your favorite light skin. Still chopping it up with Kevin Bourne from Shifter Magazine, Shifter Agency. And I wanted to know, man, how did this whole CBC thing come about, man? Because I did see a post recently online. You were mentioning, exactly what you kind of talked about, the fact that CBC hasn't really shined a lot of light on hip-hop necessarily over the years. And now they're doing that a lot more. So how did you have some influence on that, and how did you get over there?
It's just kind of a relationship that evolved over time. Like, we kind of just, I think one day they needed someone to talk about the whole Oscar So Black, whole that happened a few years ago, and so
right.
they somehow they got in contact with us, and since then it's just kind of like we kept. They would pitch us topics, we would pitch them topics. Eventually, like, one of our guys became the permanent film critic over there, and so it just became a relationship that evolved over time. And they kind of trust us to pitch topics and stuff like that. Like, there's just a relationship of trust, I guess, and
right.
It's kind of evolved over time.
So are some of the topics that you cover on the CBC, CBC stuff that you do the same as what you would cover, like, with your magazine? And
sometimes there's sometimes they pick topics that are kind of like recently they want us to talk about Cardi B and Offset, which we didn't talk about on our website, but they wanted to talk about, which was kind of interesting that CBC wanted to talk about Cardi B and Offset. So there's some topics that may come that we may say, hey, we may pitch to them, but a lot of times it's them kind of pitching stuff, like them saying, hey, we need somebody to talk about this topic.
Yeah, it seems kind of like out of the spectrum of what CBC would do, talking about Cardi B and Offset. I mean, it is popular news, I guess, but still, CBC is kind of away from that usually. Yeah,
but I think with a lot of media outlets, they're trying to. I think they recognize that hip hop culture is popular culture now.
Yeah,
and also I think a lot of these outlets, like, they have to kind of refresh their audience, and so they need to kind of get a bit of a younger audience. So I think they're kind of trying to cater to the demographic a little bit. But
what I hate is when certain corporations or big platforms will use hip hop to get the people in, and then switch the format, and I see that a lot with radio stations and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my understanding with some of these stations that they try the hip hop thing and think, oh, it doesn't work, and then they switch it after.
Yeah.
I think now hip hop's in a different place, because now hip hop's the #1 genre in the United States, like, and I think probably even North America. Whereas I think when some of these stations originally tried to do the hip hop thing, I don't know if necessarily the marketplace was ready. Even like Toronto, like, they just got their hip hop station again, like after Flow changed their format. Like Toronto just got a hip hop station. Yeah. So I don't think the marketplace was ready for all hip hop stations, like when stations tried it like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, they did the same thing. What was it, like Flow over to Move, and then Move, and now they're sticking with that format there. And who knows how long that'll stay.
No, and it's needed though, right? Because it's like I hate when we put these like popular stations just saying, well, yeah, we cover popular music, but we don't touch hip hop. It's like, well, hip hop is popular music. Like, how can you do pop music and you're not playing hip hop? Like, it's more pop music than actual pop music.
And Shifter, you're not just focusing on hip hop. You kind of
we do different genres. It's because, I mean, to be honest, like, we're all black, so we're all black, so we like, that's kind of what we like.
Yeah.
But if someone comes around and says, hey, I do EDM or I do rock, can you put on me? Like, yeah, absolutely, we'll do that. But we know hip hop, so that's what we do.
So you got Shifter Magazine, you got Shifter Agency. What's next? Is it like Shifter toilet paper come in? Is it?
Yeah, we're gonna be like Virgin. We're gonna have like 300 businesses or something.
Branding everywhere. But what's next for you guys?
We're just gonna keep doing our thing. Like, now we're looking at covering some major events in Toronto. Like, we did the Canadian Screen Awards last year, which is like Canada's Oscars. So we're looking to do that again. Potentially the Junos. So yeah, we want to get back to those big events, you know.
Nice. I'd love to have you involved with the food drive.
Oh, absolutely.
Next year too. Man.
Yeah,
So,
I was hoping to be there, but you know, I'm a father and a husband, so
that's family first, right?
I had to hold down the fort at home, you know.
I don't blame you at all, man. We got one more artist here that we're gonna play that you picked for the mix. But before we do that, where could people follow you online, personally yourself, as well as you know, the magazine and the agency and all that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Kevin R. Bourne. On the other platforms, Kevin B. Unfiltered. And when it comes to the magazine, it's at Shifter Magazine on all social media platforms.
How did you come across this next artist?
Yeah, he's someone I kept hearing about. Like, he's over in Gatineau, so he's over on the other side. And when people would talk to me about who some of the top Gatineau artists were, I kept hearing about this guy. Like, oh, this is the guy that's pushing, this is the guy that's hustling, and just kind of watching him on social media, I was like, oh, this guy's working hard, you know. So yeah, I just kind of, you know, we kind of connected a little bit on Instagram, and I kind of like what he's doing. So
amazing. I want to say salute to you for what you're doing, man, pushing the culture forward and stuff, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for coming to the show.
No problem.
And I would love to get on the podcast that I see you got going on.
We have you on our list. Trust me.
Okay, we will. You know, so actually, where could people follow the podcast stuff too?
So right now it's just on YouTube. So just if you look up Shifter TV and like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and yeah, man.
Go do it. Go follow and support the movement, man. It's a big movement. Let's get into some Simon Balan. The track is called Click Game. It goes down like this, man. Bring A Game Radio, CHUO 89.1 FM.
Bring your A game.